The Leopard's Drum, Ghana. Once upon a time in a village in Ghana, there lived a mighty leopard named Osebo. Osebo was the strongest and most fearsome creature in the forest. He had powerful muscles, sharp claws, and a roar that could make the ground tremble. But what made Osebo truly unique was his magnificent drum. This drum was unlike any other. It was large, beautifully decorated, and produced the most wonderful sounds when played. Osebo was very proud of his drum, and he guarded it fiercely, allowing no one else to touch it. The other animals in the forest admired Osebo's drum and often spoke about its magical sounds. They wished they could play it, but Osebo's temper and strength kept them at bay. Among the animals was a clever tortoise named Nyame. Nyame was small and not very strong, but he was known for his wisdom and cunning. He listened to the other animals longing for the drum and decided to come up with a plan to get it. Nyame approached Osebo one day and said, "Osebo, mighty leopard, I have heard the beautiful sounds of your drum, and I am in awe of its magic. The drum is truly a treasure, and it deserves to be shared with all the animals of the forest. Why don't you allow us to play it and bring joy to everyone?" Osebo growled, "This drum is mine and mine alone. No one else is worthy of playing it. If you even dare to touch it, you will feel my wrath." Undeterred, Nyame thought long and hard about how he could outwit Osebo and obtain the drum. He knew that brute strength would not work, so he would have to rely on his cleverness. One evening, as the sun was setting and the shadows grew long, Nyame had an idea. He went to the edge of the forest where a large baobab tree stood. The tree had a hollow at its base, and Nyame thought it could serve his purpose well. The next morning, Nyame went to Osebo and said, "Osebo, I have a challenge for you. I know you are the strongest in the forest, but I bet you cannot fit into the hollow of the great baobab tree. If you can, I will admit that you are truly the mightiest of us all." Osebo, prideful and confident, accepted the challenge. He followed Nyame to the baobab tree and inspected the hollow. It was indeed a tight fit, but Osebo was determined to prove his strength. With great effort, he squeezed himself into the hollow. Once he was inside, Nyame quickly took some strong vines and tied them around the entrance, trapping Osebo within the tree. Osebo roared in anger and tried to break free, but the vines held fast. Nyame, satisfied with his work, hurried to Osebo's lair and retrieved the magnificent drum. He carried it back to the clearing where the other animals were gathered. The animals were overjoyed to see the drum and praised Nyame for his cleverness. They took turns playing the drum, and the forest was filled with the most beautiful music. The birds sang along, the monkeys danced, and even the trees seemed to sway to the rhythm. The drum's magical sounds brought joy and unity to the forest creatures. Meanwhile, Osebo, still trapped in the baobab tree, realized that his pride had led to his downfall. He roared and struggled, but he knew he had been outwitted by the small tortoise. Eventually, Nyame returned to the tree and spoke to Osebo. "Osebo, you are indeed strong, but sometimes strength alone is not enough. The drum has brought happiness to all the animals, and we would like you to join us in that happiness. If you promise to share the drum and not keep it to yourself, I will set you free." Osebo, humbled by his experience, agreed. Nyame untied the vines, and Osebo emerged from the hollow, no longer filled with anger but with a newfound respect for Nyame and the other animals. From that day on, Osebo shared the drum with the forest creatures, and the music continued to bring joy to everyone. The story of the leopard's drum and the clever tortoise spread throughout the land, teaching the important lesson that true strength lies not just in muscle but in wisdom and the willingness to share. The animals lived in harmony, and the sound of the drum became a symbol of unity and happiness in the forest. And so, the legend of Osebo and Nyame, the leopard and the tortoise, lived on, a reminder to all who heard it that sometimes the smallest and seemingly weakest among us can teach the greatest lessons. The forest thrived, And the drum's beautiful music echoed through the trees, celebrating the cleverness of Nyame and the humility of Osebo.